Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Catatonia's YouTube channel, starring me, the Mighty Cryo. This is Bosses Only, the video series where we look at just the bosses from a dungeon, because you're not stuck on trash, you're stuck on bosses. From the Scribes of Fate DLC, this is Bal Sunnar. The devs really weren't thinking about this one, were they? I mean, you know, when people go into zone chat and they're looking to do a dungeon, they'll say, hey, looking for a group to do SCP, meaning, you know, Scale Caller Peak, or COA for City of Ash, or MOS for March of Sacrifices, and now BS for Bal Sunnar, but I mean BS, come on. Anyway, I suppose let's go through this door right here to face off against the first boss, and naturally let's read the magazine or turn on the banner or whatever it is to activate the hard mode, because hard mode is always fun. And let's have a quick jump cut, because obviously we wiped a bunch of times. We came in here, first ever time in this dungeon, any of us, completely blind. We didn't look at the PTS, we didn't learn any mechs beforehand. We just, on release day of the Scribes of Fate DLC, came in here, turned on the hard mode, and figured it out. And figure it out we did. So how does this fight work, and what do you do? Well, first thing, and you're seeing it now, is this manipulate mechanic. The boss will put this huge spreading AoE under each player. It does a hell of a lot of damage, and it's basically a heal check. So it'll be on the healer to keep you alive as best as he can. Everybody stay close to the healer, but obviously with circles like that, you don't want a Venn diagram, so don't overlap with other players. The circles themselves can touch as long as the edges don't touch another player. Now the boss will zoom around the room and he'll do those big laser beams, and then he'll leave a huge poo circle on the floor. Watch out for all of that stuff and damage the man as best as you can, because pretty soon a fun new phase is going to start. Here we go. So we're calling this sort of like a shadow phase, and he'll summon a big ad. It's a giant 𝕊𝕊𝒃𝒎𝒔. We need to kill it to make the boss come back into the room. Now, its attacks itself aren't so bad. There are some explosive AoEs on the floor, and there are lots of little baby 𝕊𝒃𝒃𝒎💃 things which the tank can chain in. They're annoying, but they aren't the priority. The priority is the big one. Killing him will make the boss return to the middle of the room so that we can fight. Now, while this is going on, you can see sort of copies of the boss appearing around the room and still doing that big sort of laser beam thing in a straight line. So anytime you see a big straight sort of telegraph of an ability coming, get away from it quickly, because it's going to be the laser beam. So 𝕊𝒃𝒃𝒎💃 is dead, big poo circle appears, and the boss is back, and we can attack him again. Same thing, manipulate. He's going to target everybody. Everybody gets this circle under them. The circles can touch, just don't let the edges of them touch other players. Stay close to your healer. Your healer will keep you alive through this. It's a heal check. And then there's big poison circle in the middle again. Stay out of that at all costs. Boss zooms across the room, and he's going to do that big straight line laser beam again. Stay out of that. That really hurts if you find yourself in it, so you don't want to be. And he zooms across the room again, and then it's up in the air somewhere, and he'll plop down with another poo circle, and we can attack him some more. Now, once we've damaged him down a bit more, I think once we get him down to around about sort of 40 to 45% health, he's going to start another shadow phase, and this time he will summon an Iron Atronach. Now, when the Iron Atronach bends over and channels like that, watch for the little spurts of lava coming out. Interrupt him when he's channeling, because if those spurts of lava land, they will leave persistent flaming circles on the ground, and the longer he's channeling, the more of those he makes, the less safe ground there is for everybody to stand on to actually fight. So just like before, there's going to be smaller ads, but they aren't the big concern. Tank can just taunt them and they can get cleaved down in AoE. Your main target is the Iron Atro. Kill him as quickly as possible so that the boss returns to the room and you can continue attacking the boss. This great big explosion happened, and you know, it filled the entire room, and it hurt, but it didn't seem to hurt that much. You could just block and sort of get through it. Lost somebody there, so hopefully we can get the res real quick. We need to finish off this Atronach to get the boss back in, and then we can continue attacking the boss. And once the boss comes back, we're going to see the same thing that we've seen already. Huge poison circle, don't go in that. He's going to put the manipulate thing on everybody, where there'll be a big spreading AoE underneath you, which you're going to want to block and let the healer heal you through. Barrier helps as well, of course, very dank. And once this phase is over, continue attacking the boss again. And we're getting pretty close to execute. Again, you want to watch because around the room the laser beam thing is happening, the poo circles are still happening, there's another laser beam. You see, it's not actually the boss doing it now, but it's copies of him, and that's going to keep happening for the rest of the fight. Now, at 20% the execute, we're having the shadow phase again. The difference this time is there isn't a big ad to kill, we're just going to be fighting the actual boss himself. But we're going to be doing that during this shadow phase and with clones of the boss teleporting around and doing the big straight line laser beam, and we're going to have the manipulate mechanics to make sure somebody has a barrier that they can cast and make sure that we're not all stacking together. If people are too close together, deaths can happen. Hopefully we can get these reses pretty quickly. Again, watch out for the laser beams. You can see they even crisscross, and the last thing you want is to be stuck between a rock and a hard place. Now, the number of ads that spawns here can become quite overwhelming. Try to sort of get them all together, clustered as best as you can, and you can just ulti dump on them and the boss. Drop as many AoEs as you can and do your best to just sort of clean up the number of ads, because it really did get to be overkill with the number of ads that were happening during execute. But they aren't your priority. Your priority should be the boss, and ads should hopefully just die and cleave as long as the tank is taunting them and getting them close to the boss, chaining them where possible. Again, keep your eyes peeled for those laser beams and stay the bloody hell away from them, and keep on burning that boss. We're very close to having him now. Poo circles are going to keep happening, so make sure you're staying out of those. And we've got him. Very dank. Loot your lockpicks. And that is boss number 1, hard mode, done. So congratulations, very dank. Let's admire our scenery, and then let's get magically teleported to the next boss. This is actually the secret boss. There's only one secret boss in this dungeon, and the rest of it is actually little puzzle things. So because this is a boss, we'll show you what to do and what not to do. So what not to do would be, of course, to die. Hey, let's have a look at our skills real quick. That's always fun. This boss, I actually predicted it was going to be pretty much tank and spank, and for the most part it is. Basically what this boss does, he charges around with fire, and he puts big fire AoEs on you, and he streaks across the room doing fire, and each time he does these flaming attacks, it creates like lava pillar type things that pop up, and after a while they explode, and you can just sort of block, and you won't really have too much trouble. It's not a terribly difficult fight, and the attacks themselves aren't very painful. For the most part, this is tank and spank, stack and burn, so whenever the tank is ready, hopefully he'll head over there and taunt him, and then we can start beating him up, and you can see what I was talking about. There we go, the fight has begun. So you can also see that big Argonian behemoth over there, and he actually joined in and helped us a part of the fight. So when he does these fire streaks, up pop all these pillars. They're kind of similar to what you've seen if you've done the Cauldron's final boss. They're like that, except we can't destroy them, but they themselves explode after a while, and it does a little damage, but it isn't too bad. It's nothing you can't block through. Thing to watch out for here, you see these fire circles coming towards you. If you've got that red rune above your head, just run away. It means that exploding fire things are coming towards you. Now, you can let them get close to you because they'll stop before they explode, and then you can dodge roll away, or you can just block and they'll explode, and it does next to no damage, especially if you've got a healer with you. The Argonian behemoth has joined in the battle and is helping us attack the man, but pretty much just, you know, block cast, especially if you're close to these pillars because they explode. If you've got the red circle above your head, it means that red fire circles are coming to get you. You can block, you can dodge roll. Just, you know, make sure you've got some sort of mitigation happening, because when they arrive at you, they'll explode. But pretty much just keep an eye on that mechanic. Make sure you're not getting destroyed by fire. Keep attacking the man, and he will die real quick, and you'll get a tasty buff that does something. I can't remember what, but I'm sure it's really dank and useful. So make sure you get that, and of course your lockpicks when you attack him. And then let's talk to this Argonian bloke and look at a locked gate, because that's always fun. I think, you know, this is our first ever time here. We were looking for the right way to go. We were looking for secret stuff. Here is the right way to go, so let's head through this door to the second proper boss. And this boss was something. And of course, we're going to go activate the hard mode, because just wouldn't be right not to. assume that's what we're doing. It looks like we're just doing a lot of running around right now. There we go. Defeat Roksa the Warped. And do that on hard mode, because we've increased the difficulty. I suppose that also means, as per tradition, let's have a jump cut, because we died. But now we're going to do it. For real. So begin as always by attacking the monster, and he is going to do this, Dark Light Star. When he does this, a beam will be tethering you to a nearby ball. Find the ball and interrupt it. Ideally, you want at least maybe the healer and the tank having Crushing Shock. I know that me as tank, I had Crushing Shock on my Ice Staff bar, so that when those balls were summoned, I could quickly interrupt as many as I could, because there's going to be 4. There's going to be 1 for each player. They will continually drain your health, and then they will just insta-kill you. So when you've got a beam on you, it needs to be interrupted. Whether you run up and bash it yourself or somebody hits it with Crushing Shock, it must be interrupted. That is the priority 1 mechanic during this fight, is to bash and interrupt any orb that is tethered to you. Periodically, the boss will make the whole room go dark and poisonous, and you will take continually ticking and progressively more damaging damage from it until you get into one of the green safety circles that it creates. So keep an eye out for the whole room going dark, because that's going to really suck unless you're in a safety circle. Once you get the boss to about 70% of his health, he's going to become invulnerable and make the room go all dark and poisonous with one big green safety circle in the middle. You'll need to kill all these ads that are spawning to end this phase and make the boss come back. So better to focus on the big 𝕊𝕋𝒎𝒔 because he hurts more, and the tank can chain in the smaller ones and they can die and cleave. But there's going to be a lot of the smaller ones, and we will need to kill those too. Let's just prioritize the big one for the time being, again because he is the most annoying, and make sure you're not outside of the green circle because you're not safe to. And let's take out some of these other annoying little shits. Tanks chaining them over, get them in a nice tidy pile, make them easier to take down. And as soon as this phase ends, the tank is going to want to get to the middle of the room, because on each of the 3 sides of the room are going to be a ghostly 𝕊𝕋𝒎𝒔 that will fire a laser beam at the tank. As you can see, it's created this sort of 3-way laser beam thing with the tank in the center. Is whoever had aggro of the main boss that gets targeted with that. So everybody stay sort of in a clear segment away from the laser beams and wait until that phase is over. The tank can block through it, it's easily out-healed, and then we can continue fighting the main boss now that he's come back. Again, we've got the dark poisonous stuff going on where there are safety circles. You can stay in the safety circle under the boss himself, but he does put a lot of those green flames there, so it's better to be in the other one. Try to focus this ad down, avoid all the green flames that the boss spits out, and keep your eye out for the Dark Light Star. When he does this, everybody will get targeted. You'll have a beam tethering you to a testicle, so everyone will need to defeat their terrifying tethered testicle as quickly as possible, either by running up to it and bashing it or by hitting it with Crushing Shock. Me and the healer, we had Crushing Shock on and we're interrupting every single one we possibly could, whether it was ours or not, but sometimes it simply isn't possible. You're too far away from it, it's on the opposite side of the room, someone else needs to get it for you. You have about 6 seconds from when the beam gets on you to when you are going to instantly die. If the ball is not interrupted before that time is up, then your time is up and you will die and have to be rezzed. So again, it's basically just a sort of rinse and repeat. You should be into quite a good rhythm with what you're doing now. Defeat ads, watch out for green fire. If there's black poison filling the room and there's a safety circle of green, get in that and stay in it. Defeat ads as and when they come, and always priority 1, interrupt the ball. As you see this time, everyone else was too far across the room, so Cat had to run up and actually bash the ball, take the beam off. But that's always the priority target that should be number 1 in your mind, is if that beam is on you, you are tethered to a ball. It must be interrupted, whether you do it yourself or someone does it for you. You've got to get it done. If it is not interrupted in time, you are dead. And again, it's not just the tethered balls that you need to be mindful of, but it's all the ads as well, because they can pile up and get annoying. So tank, as and when smaller 𝕊𝕋𝒎𝒔 ads spawn, you want to be trying to taunt them or chain them if you can, and get them all in and piled up on the main boss so that they can all be cleaved down. Again, during this poison phase, there'll be a safety circle to get in, defeat the big 𝕊𝕋𝒎𝒔s. defeat any smaller ones, but you can still have this orb mechanic happening the whole time. So either run up and bash, or have somebody with crushing shock or another interrupt to interrupt those balls, but they must be interrupted before time runs out or you're dead. So keep that mechanic in your mind at all times, and first and foremost, it is the most important thing, because it just keeps happening throughout the fight, and it is the end of the run if it is not bashed in time. I think again at around about 40% health, we're going to have the boss go invulnerable. We're going to have a safety circle that we'll have to stay in, and everybody is going to have to kill all the ants to make the boss come back. So during this phase, you're usually safe from the tethering testicles, but once that's over, they can start happening again. Here's the three-way laser that happens right after that. So tanks stay still in the middle of the room, let everybody else move. You yourself don't move, because you can pull the laser over anybody, which is what we don't want to happen. Once that's over with, we have a clear shot toward the end. Just keep taking out ads, keep interrupting balls, and keep working on that boss. It's nothing more than just following the mechanics as and when they occur, staying on top of the number of ads that can pile up in the room. Keep out of fire, stay in a green safety circle if one is up, because if one of those is in the room, it means the rest of the room is poisonous and you won't be safe to stand in it. And just keep working on that boss. Little by little, you will wear him down. Keep working on ads as and when they spawn, and stay on top of interrupting those orbs. That's very important. Again, if they are not interrupted before time runs out, you will die. So at this point in the fight, it's literally just a case of watching the orbs, bashing them or interrupting them by whatever means you have available as and when they come up, staying on top of the ads, and when he makes the whole room poisonous, staying in the safety circle. Now you'll see here, since we're in the one that's under the boss itself, why it's more dangerous to be in this safety circle, because after a moment he's going to start spewing flame, and he's going to pretty much fill the whole circle with these green flames. But now that the phase is over, we're safe to actually just go back out into the rest of the map. But you do want to be careful if you're close to him, because that is a very dangerous and high damage type of fire. Very close to finishing him off. There's nothing particularly special going on during the execute here. It's exactly the same. Just keep following the mechanics. Interrupt the balls if you get tethered to a ball. Work on ads as and when you have the opportunity to, but at this point you really just need to be working on focusing down the boss. Avoid the flames that he throws out, of course. Keep your eyes out for balls, and we've got him. Very dang. Loot your lockpicks. Another boss has been buried, and another hard mode under our belts. That's really cool, and I'm sure we'll magically teleporting our way to the next boss, just like this. So we're outside the door to the final boss, but as you can see, the banner has been activated and the hard mode has been turned in. So let's have a quick jump cut, because of course we've died a bunch, and now let's take on the final boss's hard mode for real. So with this fight, we found that the hardest part was actually the mechanic you're going to see at 70%. And up until then, it was pretty straightforward. Start the fight, attack the man. He's going to do a plague bomb at one random person. Usually I think it would be the tank, but if the fight starts before the taunt is applied, it'll just be whoever. There's some big exploding poo circles on the floor. Get out of the way of those. Then he runs across the room and leaves some more around. Now a skeever is going to spawn and target a random person. It must not get to them. It's actually very similar to the giant bat in Moongrave Fane's hard mode, where if it gets to them, they are hit with a debuff and they can't receive healing, so you do not want that skeever getting anywhere near you. The tank can actually chain pull it and talon it, which is what I found most useful. If I saw the skeever targeting somebody, I would yank it over to me and stop it in its tracks. That way it couldn't keep chasing them and they couldn't get the debuff. So that's a thing to watch out for, but what's about to happen is way worse. Kill the Skeever, always prioritize killing the Skeever, but once you get the boss to about 70% health, he goes to the center and fills the entire room with poison. Now this is nothing but, from what we could tell, a straight up heal check, and it helps for the healer to be as tanky as possible as well, so that he can stay alive to keep everyone healed. Wait for a few seconds and a time stop synergy appears. Synergize it and you can time stop all these enemies that are in the room. The Skeevers, everybody gets a Skeever during this phase, and again, you don't want them touching you, but they aren't even the big concern. The big concern is these little men. They've got like a red aura around them to show that they're invincible. Whenever a time stop synergy appears, which they will keep appearing until you've killed all these ads, you synergize it, and as well as it freezing them from moving, there's the synergy sort of top right in the room. Once somebody gets over there and synergizes it, it's going to freeze all these guys and take their invincibility away so that we can kill them. So during the brief period where they are time stopped, because the synergy's been hit, we need to kill as many as possible. But we've still got to worry about the poo circles being left by the boss, and we've got to worry about the Skeever spawning and making sure that that doesn't get to whoever it's targeted. Now you'll know if it's on you because you'll have that little red circular rune above your head, and that same rune will be above the Skeever that's coming for you, so you'll be able to see it and run away, and the tank will be able to hopefully chain and talon it to keep it from getting to you. Then it can be burnt down. For now, our main priority is getting rid of these ads, the little men with the red auras. We need to find time stop synergies whenever they appear, and we need to hit those synergies so that the invulnerability is removed from the man, then we can kill the man, because until then he's invincible. Now, something you just saw, the big conal puking AoE, this is a really quite awful contagious mechanic. It'll be aimed at the tank, and the tank wants to put his back to a wall so that the boss is puking toward a wall and everyone else is safe. Now, it is very important that the tank never ever stop blocking during that puking mechanic, because if the tank is hit, he will start puking, and he's going to be puking in the direction he's facing, which is going to be toward the group behind the boss. If they are hit, they will start puking, and so begins a chain reaction of everybody throwing up. Now, after that first super poison phase that we got through, actually right now you can see Cat is targeted by the Skeever, so look for the Skeever and make sure it dies before it gets to her. Tank can talon it, chain it, keep it away from her. Very good. Back on this again, and let's go back to, here's the puking. So if the tank were to drop block here, the tank would start puking, and it would be the same big triangular cone. It would hit everybody behind, and they would all start puking, and that's the big chain reaction you want to avoid. Now, these big bogeymen thing, tank needs to taunt them. Now, they are awful. They completely lock you up, stop you from moving. You can dodge roll out, but they eat your stamina so fast that you can be out of stamina, and it's terrible. I mean, that got me a few times as we were practicing this and trying it. It would lock me up, I couldn't dodge roll, and finally I would die. So here at about 35% health, the boss goes back to the center, and it's the big poison phase. Again, everybody's going to get targeted with the Skeever. We need to take those out. The healer needs to heal the ever-living crap out of everyone. We actually took turns using barriers to help us out because this poison phase is so bad, and we timed it. This poison phase is time-based, and it goes on for exactly 30 seconds, and then it ends. So ideally, we all need to survive through that right now. We've had everyone except one person die, but he has managed to get a res off on somebody, so that's pretty dang. And he is up, the healer is up, and the tank are up. Now we just need to get the DPS up. So you can see the puking is happening, so we've got to avoid that. We've still got these men, although they themselves aren't so bad. It's just getting them into a nice group that's proving difficult. And as soon as we have that time stop synergy available, we'll be able to hit it and remove their invulnerability. We've also still got these big slimy bogey monsters. These are absolutely critical that we kill them. They are now the second most important thing after the Skeever. Skeever's still got to be the first thing we kill, because if it gets to somebody, it is going to ruin their day. But then we've got to kill the bogey monster, because that thing just destroys resources. We've also got to watch out for the big spreading poo poison circle, even though 𝕃𝕀𝕂𝔼 decided she would look at chat and had a whoopsie here. You can see that there is a humongous spreading circle of poison. We want to avoid that. The puke mechanic is currently happening. Okay, very dank, and we're getting the res on 𝕃𝕀𝕼𝔼. But as you can see, during this sort of last stretch of the fight, it really is just back and forth dealing with the multiple mechs. There are 2 bogey monsters now. These things are a problem and we've got to get them killed because they just destroy resources and they prevent you from moving if they get to you and lock you up. So again, we're keeping an eye out for time stop synergies, and we're going to use those whenever we can to remove invulnerability from the men. We're going to kill these bogey monsters, and we're going to kill any skeevers that spawn. Skeevers are still the most important thing to kill. Kill skeevers, kill bogeymen, kill regular men, kill boss. That is the order of priority, and even though that seems like it's going to make the fight take longer, it really is the only way, because if you allow all these ads to pile up and run around, you're never going to get anywhere near dealing with the boss. Puke mechanic again, so the tank needs to make sure and try to point that at a wall and not let anybody get hit. And remember, tank must never drop block. If he is hit by the puke, he'll start puking. If he hits the group, they'll start puking. It's a chain reaction of puke. It's just like that movie Stand By Me, where they tell the story of the fat kid who drinks the castor oil and throws up and makes everybody else throw up, and then everybody throws up on everybody and everybody's covered in puke. So probably want to avoid that. And another bogey monster, let's make sure that's taken down, because they really suck. Again, they are a huge problem for the tank, because when they get on you like that, they stop you from moving and they just burn through your resources, and if you can't even dodge roll to get away, you're probably going to end up dead. So the boss still zooms from one side of the room to the other, leaving poisonous poo circles behind that you want to avoid. The big huge poisonous poo circle is still going to happen. We're still going to get the men with the red auras that we need to destroy by getting the time stop synergies, and we're still going to have the skeever spawning on a random person. Remember, if you've got a red circle above your head, that means you've been targeted. There'll also be a red circle above the head of the skeever that's coming for you, so you'll see it and you'll know to run away from it. The tank can chain pull it and he can talon it to stop it from moving, but it must be killed, because if it touches you, you're going to get a no healing for you debuff, just like the one in Moongrave hard mode, and it really sucks, and it makes it so that you become dead, which you want to avoid. Big poo circles again, let's get away from those. Let's kill that bogey monster as quick as we can. Let's not forget the skeever that's running across the room. Definitely need to get hold of that if possible. Another thing about the skeever, after they've been taloned and held, if they haven't been killed, once they get free again, they start to run faster, and eventually they are sprinting around like bloody Sonic the Hedgehog. You've really got to deal with those skeevers, because if they live too long, they can start to run really fast, and they will catch the person they're targeting, and they will get that debuff. Right now you can see that 𝕃𝕀𝕂𝔼 has a skeever targeting her, so as long as she keeps dodge rolling around and not holding still, you'll have time to take out the skeever and make sure she doesn't get the debuff. Another bogey monster, let's take that out. Watch out for the poo circles. Here comes another collection of those invincible men with the red auras. So that means we need to look for the time stop synergy. It'll appear somewhere in the room. There'll be a sort of multicolored glowing AoE. Run into it if you're close and hit the synergy, and it will hit every ad and remove their invulnerability so that they become damageable. This close to the end, we might be better off just focusing on the boss, but if you get near the synergy, synergize it, because if you can get those men killed, that'll save you a headache. Again, you don't want too many ads piling up. We are now so close to having the boss killed. Looks like we've got him. There he goes, very dank. Loot your fancy helmet, and of course your lockpicks, because no dungeon run is complete without lockpicks. As you can see, it's mostly straightforward. The biggest and most difficult challenge in that fight is that huge poison phase. That is, as far as we could tell, nothing but a heal check. The healer's just got to heal you, use barriers, take turns using those, use any self-heal you've got, block cast, just stay alive for those 30 seconds where the boss is invulnerable, because if you can come out the other side of it alive, you'll have a fighting chance of taking down all the other ads and finally beating the boss, as we have just done, and got ourselves a fancy title and a bunch of clothes and lockpicks and pieces of manganese and star metal and adamantite and stuff, which is really useful and dank if you like crafting rubbish-based game motifs. So, here's some achievements. Look at that. Very shiny and cool. You could do it too by simply following the mechanics, because that's really all it was. None of these were huge DPS checks. None of them required massive amounts of earth-shattering damage. They just required you to follow the mechs, deal with them one at a time, and stay alive. So there we go. That is Bal Sunnar completed on hard mode, our first ever time in there. And it was pretty dank. Well, now it's your turn. Go and get it done. And remember to subscribe if you like what you see by clicking the subscribe button, and you can hit the little bell too to be notified when future videos arrive on the channel. Don't forget to also follow Cat over on Twitter and see the latest twits, and go over to Instagram to look at pictures of stuff. And of course, you already know you're here on YouTube, so thanks for checking us out. And don't forget to subscribe and check out the stream at twitch.tv/Catatonia. We'll see you next time on Bosses Only.